Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Absolute Truth. This is episode 5, Perfection. In today's show, we're going to cover my thoughts on perfection, how it's something that I'm dealing with, and I'm sure a lot of other people struggle with at times, and just my thoughts on the college system in itself in the Thinking Out Loud segment of the show. Being a perfectionist is something that I'm working on myself. Sometimes, I want something to be so perfect that I'll overthink it and procrastinate it, when in fact, if I would have got started, it would have ended up better off than waiting to start. When people think about perfectionists, it's often glamorized, and it's usually the celebrities, the athletes that you see stories about on television. But some of the things they tend not to focus on is the negative qualities of being a perfectionist. Tend to be a lot more critical of other people because that's the way you are with yourself. So you're going to be critical on everything you do and everything that somebody else does, instead of focusing on the bigger picture and the positive things that you're doing. Being a perfectionist is kind of almost going to make you miserable in a way, because you're never going to be satisfied with what you're doing. You're always going to want more. You're always going to want it to be better. And that's something that I do to myself. A lot of times I'll do something and then I'll think, how can I improve it? It benefits me in some ways, but at the same time, it keeps me from maybe achieving my full potential because I'm so focused on the little things instead of the bigger picture. Sometimes being a perfectionist, I tend to look at the negative aspects of a situation instead of focusing on the positives that are coming out of it. Not making mistakes is impossible. Even if it's something that negatively impacts you, you can always learn a lesson from it. You can sit down, think about it, and grow from it and not make the same mistake again. Making mistakes is part of being human, and you can't really avoid them. So pretending that you're perfect to other people is actually going to have the opposite effect of what you're looking for. It's going to turn them off. You're going to be a lot more distant to other people. And honestly, they're just going to think you're a jerk. Like you're rubbing your accomplishments in their face. A couple ways you can just work on not being such a perfectionist. Just try to focus on the bigger picture and not the small details. Just focus on starting and getting something done instead of trying to get it perfect. Because the longer you take to do it, the less likely you are to finish it. I know plenty of people that have had great ideas, great business ideas, ideas for books, ideas for websites, but they never get started. Now for the Thinking Out Loud segment of the show. Today I'm going to be focusing on the college system and just my thoughts about the whole situation of going away to school, what we're taught to focus on, and what going to college is really about. To me at this point, getting your bachelor's or even going to college seems to be like one of the biggest ripoffs ever, because you're going to school, you're taking out loans, you're investing a lot of time, energy, and money into going to school, and then when you get out of school, they tell you don't have enough experience, you need to go back to school to get a higher degree, which doesn't make any sense. I know a couple people who have, in different fields that technically have experience, but it's not the experience that they're looking for, so they're forced to take a job that doesn't necessarily relate to their major. If you start working at it at a low level right out of high school, you have somewhat of a better chance of ending up in that position than going to college sometimes, which doesn't really make any sense to me. So you're investing all this time and energy to be further back than you would have been if you just would have went to that position right out of high school. I remember the times when I was in school and I'd be up until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning studying for a test or doing homework for a class. And I'm sure a lot of other people who finish school have those memories of struggling through certain classes. And for some of us that get out of school and then you can't find work in the field that you wanted to, doesn't really make sense. I know a lot of people will tell you that you should go into a major that makes money or that has the most jobs available. But if your heart isn't in something, then most likely you're not going to finish. Or if you do finish, you're not really going to enjoy it. College isn't necessarily about the classes or even the grades that you get. Just my personal opinion, but I think the experience of going away to school and interacting with other people is the most important aspect of the experience of going to college, because you grow so much as a person. You learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about other people, and you learn how to deal with adversity going away to school, because you're not necessarily dependent on somebody else to help solve your problems for you. Some people have that same experience living at home with their parents, but not very often that happens. I know there's some people out there who have to support their parents, or they're the head of their household supporting their brothers and sisters. But though I feel those are rare occurrences. But I'm a little biased when it comes to school, because I feel that the only thing they really teach you in school is how to memorize information. They don't really teach you how to think on your own, how when you get out in the real world, how you're going to have to manage your life. Because to be honest with you, I don't remember any of those things that were on the test that, I had to pass just to get my diploma. Most of the things that I remember are just the experience of managing my time, balancing schoolwork and my social life, and the times where I had to, put together some last minute projects or cram for a final. So to be honest with you, I think the whole school system should kind of be redone, because the way it is now, the amount we're paying, what they're teaching us, it's kind of obsolete, because a lot of this information that they're cramming in our heads could be found online or in the library or even on YouTube. So why would I pay thousands of dollars to go to a college other than the experience when I could learn it in the library or somewhere of that nature? But it's pretty evident that the college degree has become the new high school diploma. A bachelor's, that is, or any undergraduate degree, I should say, has become the new high school diploma. So for you to even get a decent job, you need to go to college, is what everybody tells you. But honestly, you can have a high school diploma and work your way up. A lot of our parents want us to go to school to get degrees, and they think that automatically equates to us getting a good job. But I think that's kind of misinforming a lot of kids. We need to really focus on telling them that, one, school isn't for everybody, because there's a lot of people, quite honestly, that are just wasting money by going to school, because they don't know what they're going to do, or they're in school 6 or 7 years at a 4-year university, and they're just wasting money, which they can be using to, just go to a technical school, which is a lot shorter, or to just start at a lower level and move their way up in a company with their high school diploma. And two, we need to really focus on getting relevant work experience. Needs to be focused on a lot more, because a lot of these jobs will tell you that even though you volunteered somewhere or you have some kind of experience, that it's not enough, even though you have a degree. So we should try to get as much work experience as possible while we're in school, because if we don't, we're going to end up in situations where we may have a 3.8 GPA or graduated with honors or even been top of our class. And just because we don't have relevant work experience, we can't get a job, which makes no sense. That's our show for this week. Thank you for listening. Please leave questions or comments at our hotline at 561-463-2691, or you can email us at tolpodcast@yahoo.com. You can also contact us through our website at tolpodcast.com. Thank you, and I'll be back next week.